You've probably seen scalloped edges like this and immediately thought, there's no way I could make that myself. And once you start looking into it, most tutorials either skip steps or assume skills you don't have, so you give up before even trying. I'm Sarai, and I've been sewing for almost 30 years and teaching you how to create a meaningful custom wardrobe for the last 15. In this video, I'll walk you through a vintage hem technique you can do entirely on a home sewing machine, so you can actually recreate this look yourself without special tools or years of experience. I kept seeing these gorgeous scalloped hems and edges on vintage lingerie, and it's something I've always wanted to try myself. I'd been collecting images on Pinterest of gorgeous vintage pieces that had this detail, often in contrasting colors. These cute little scalloped hems that just looked so elegant and sophisticated. I'd been admiring these images for years, thinking someday I'll figure out how to do that. And then I saw the technique explained in this book. It's called the Encyclopedia of Sewing Machine Techniques, and it shows you exactly how to execute heirloom techniques on a regular home machine. Most online tutorials skip steps or assume skills you don't have, but this book doesn't. It shows which stitches to use, which feet, which settings, all of it. I've had mine for years and I can't even remember where I got it. That's how long I've been reaching for it. I immediately thought this hem would look incredible on the Seamwork posy dress I was planning for my spring wardrobe. Wrap dresses are perfect for showcasing this technique because they naturally draw attention to those finished edges. Since the scalloped edge would be prominent crossing over the entire front, it becomes a major design feature. Before we jump into the actual technique, I want to share something that takes all the guesswork out of hem selection. If you want to become the kind of sewer who can match your own fabric and pattern to just the right beautiful hem technique, then you'll want to grab my free hemming guide cheat sheet. No matter what you're making, you can elevate the look of your final creation by choosing the hem that suits it best. Grab your free copy using the link in the description below. It's going to help you make the perfect finishing choice for every project. The first thing I did was to take a look at my pattern and decide if anything needed to be modified. Let me share a few simple changes I made. I applied this scalloped hem in 3 key places on my posy dress. I used it all along the front neckline and the back neckline, the sleeve hems, and the entire skirt hem. For the neckline, I eliminated all the facings, both front and back, because this scalloped edge completely replaces the need for a facing. It's just a stitched edge instead, and it works really well for that purpose. It's actually very easy to do. You just skip the facing step entirely. For the sleeves and the skirt hem, instead of turning the hems under in the traditional way, I applied the scalloped hem detail instead. I also shortened the sleeves a little bit, but that was more of a stylistic choice. I wanted them a little bit shorter for this particular look. Now, let me walk you through what you'll need to recreate this look because preparation is everything with this technique. For fabric, the original instructions call for firm wovens like linen, batiste, or broadcloth. These fabrics have enough body to support the decorative stitching without puckering or distorting. But as I mentioned, I used this jacquard weave rayon instead, which has more drape. The key was adjusting my approach slightly. I had to be more careful with stabilization and tension settings, but it absolutely can be done. If you're trying this technique for the first time, I'd recommend sticking with the suggestion to use firm wovens. Once you've mastered the basic process, then you can experiment with different fabric weights and types like I did. You'll need lightweight tearaway stabilizer. This is absolutely crucial. Depending on your fabric weight, you might need single or double layers. Tearaway stabilizer is just what it sounds like. You use it to temporarily add some extra stiffness while you're sewing, then just tear it off when you're done. It's often used for embroidery and decorative stitching like this. Spray stabilizer is another essential. You'll use this to prep your fabric edges before stitching, giving them extra body and stability. You guys know I love spray stabilizer whenever I'm working with drapey fabric, but it's really important here. It makes such a difference in how cleanly your scallops form. For thread, use rayon embroidery thread for the needle and polyester thread for the bobbin. The rayon gives you that beautiful sheen and covers smoothly, while the polyester provides stable support from underneath. I used Madeira 40 weight rayon embroidery thread from Wawak. It has a little bit of sheen to it, and I think it really enhances the look of the stitches. You'll also want a heat erasable or water-soluble fabric marker and a clear ruler for marking your stitching guidelines. You'll use this to mark lines 1/2 inch to 1 inch from your raw edge. This becomes your stitching guide. Seam sealant and fine-tipped embroidery scissors are essential for the trimming phase. You want clean, precise cuts, and the seam sealant prevents any fraying once you've trimmed close to your stitching. The seam sealant I used is Fray Check, and you can find this at most fabric stores or online. Moving over to your sewing machine, you'll need 2 specific stitches, a pre-programmed satin stitch scallop and a basic zigzag. Most modern machines have both of these, but it's worth checking before you start your project. An open embroidery foot works best for this technique, along with a universal 80 needle. The open foot lets you see exactly where your stitching is going, which is important for maintaining consistent scallop placement. My first attempts on scrap fabric didn't look exactly the way I wanted, so this is when I played around until I got exactly the look I wanted. If I hadn't tested first, I might have ended up with stitches that were much too wide or too narrow. I cannot stress this enough. The testing step will make or break your results. Think of testing like creating a roadmap for your success. What you learn during testing becomes your guide for creating flawless edges on your actual garment. So let me show you the machine setup you'll need. You'll start with a pre-programmed satin stitch scallop. On the Bernina, there's several options, but I like stitch 428 with a length of 10 and a width of 5.5. For the second pass, switch to a zigzag. Length 0.5, width 2.5 to 3. These settings aren't one size fits all, so use scraps first and play around until you find a scallop shape you love. You may also need to loosen your needle tension slightly and engage your needle down function if you have it. This helps maintain consistent stitch quality, especially around curves. During testing, pay attention to how your stabilizer performs. Some fabrics need double layers for adequate support, while others work fine with single. You want enough stabilization to prevent puckering, but not so much that your fabric becomes stiff and difficult to handle. You'll also need to test both straight and biased sections of your fabric, especially if you're planning to use this on curved areas like necklines. I made sure to do this myself because I knew that those scallops along the neckline would be on the bias. Even beginners can achieve beautiful results with this technique, but only if you take the time for proper testing and preparation. Don't skip this step, even if you're eager to start on your actual project. Now let's walk through the actual sewing process. I'll take you through this step by step so you know exactly how to create this gorgeous detail from start to finish. Spray starch your fabric edges and let them dry completely. This gives your fabric the body it needs to stitch without puckering. Then mark your stitching guideline with a ruler and fabric marker 1/2 inch to 1 inch from the raw edge. Next, place your tearaway stabilizer. Positioning makes all the difference. Be sure it extends beyond that marked line so your stitching is fully supported. This two-step prep means perfectly formed stitches every time. One thing to keep in mind, fabric weight affects where you place that guideline. For heavier fabrics, mark closer to the 1 inch end. For delicate fabrics, stay closer to 1/2 inch. Step 2 is your first pass with a decorative scallop stitch. This is where the magic starts to happen. You'll stitch directly on your marked guideline, letting the scallops extend toward the raw edge of your fabric. The key is maintaining a steady, moderate speed and letting the machine do the work. Watch how the scallops form as you stitch. If they're not forming cleanly, stop and adjust your tension or stabilizer setup. It's better to troubleshoot now than to have to redo an entire edge. I'm demonstrating this on a flat piece, but you can also do this at the end when you're ready to hem. That's what I did. I sewed the scallops when I was ready to hem the garment. To make sure the scallops aligned in the round, I just very carefully manipulated the fabric as I stitched. Step 3 involves carefully removing your stabilizer and trimming close to your stitching. This is where those duckbill embroidery scissors become essential. You want to trim as close as possible to your scallop stitching without cutting any threads. Next, apply seam sealant like fray check to the cut edges to prevent fraying. This step is especially important if you're working with loosely woven fabrics. It'll help keep everything neat and tidy looking through future washing and wearing. But here's a really important tip. Be sure to remove any remaining fabric markings before you apply your seam sealant. I've learned this the hard way, but seam sealants will permanently seal in any chalk or pencil markings on your fabric, and they will never come out. Step 4 is your finishing pass with a zigzag stitch. This is where you encase that raw edge completely, creating that clean, whisker-free finish that will last for years. You'll position your fabric so the left swing of the zigzag catches the fabric and the right swing goes off the edge entirely. This step requires a bit of practice to get the rhythm right. You want to maintain consistent speed in fabric positioning so your zigzag encases the edge evenly. If you've done your preparation correctly, this step should feel smooth and controlled. What I love about following this systematic approach is how each step sets you up for success in the next one. The spray starch gives you the stability for clean scallop formation. Proper trimming gives you the foundation for perfect edge encasing. When you follow the sequence carefully, the results speak for themselves. Now, I want to be honest about the challenges you might encounter with this technique. The main challenge is simply how time-consuming it is, particularly that second set of stitches when you're zigzagging over all the edges. You have to go slowly and manipulate the fabric carefully with your hands. And when you're doing an entire dress like this, that's a lot of stitching. It was really time consuming, but it was absolutely worth it for the final result. One minor issue I ran into is that the edges do tend to curl in this particular fabric. This rayon wrinkles very easily, so the scalloped edges want to curl a bit. But once I press them, they lie flat and they look beautiful. It doesn't look great straight out of the dryer, but that's a pretty minor issue considering the overall impact. I did encounter one small area on the hem where the stitches weren't entirely even, but I think it's just a matter of practice and getting comfortable with the rhythm of the technique. The beauty of this type of decorative stitching is that if you make a small mistake, it's really not that noticeable. It's very forgiving, and the overall effect is so striking that minor imperfections just blend into the handmade charm. This is exactly why that hemming guide I mentioned earlier becomes so valuable. When you're exploring special techniques like the scalloped edge alongside traditional hems and facings, having a comprehensive resource helps you choose the perfect finish for each project. Remember, you can grab your free copy in the description below. And here's my finished dress. I love how the scalloped edge technique transforms a simple dress pattern into something that looks like it came from a couture workroom. Look at these neckline curves. The scallops follow the bias sections beautifully without any distortion or puckering. And the skirt hem, this is where the technique really shines. The flowing movement of the scalloped edge adds so much visual interest and creates this romantic, vintage-inspired silhouette that you just can't achieve with a traditional hem. It's those kinds of details that make handmade garments truly special. The finishing touches that tell everyone this piece was made with care and intention. I would definitely do this technique again. I think it would look absolutely gorgeous in contrasting thread colors. I've seen that on vintage garments and it looks incredible. They'll often have contrasting stitching for the scallops and then matching embroidery details elsewhere on the garment. That coordinated approach would look really, really pretty. What I love most about this technique is how it serves a dual purpose. You're transforming necessary construction steps like facings and hems into beautiful design features. You still get clean, finished edges, but with gorgeous decorative details instead of hidden seams. It's functional and gorgeous at the same time. This scallop technique is perfect when you want your hem to be a design feature, but what about when you need the exact opposite? A hem that completely disappears. If you've ever been frustrated by visible stitching lines or uneven blind hems, watch this video next to learn how to create hems so seamless you'll never see them from the right side.